Sir, there's this question. He has said not to name
No problem. No
his
problem.
So he's saying teenagers these days are committing suicide for minor reasons like banning of games, breakups, parental control. Do you think puberty and this age of growing has something to do with their mindset these days?
The problems of youth have always been there through the ages. This is a time when you are very sensitive, oversensitive, and oversensitivity may lead to overreaction also. But suicide is something which is there in other age groups as well, but we feel a teenager committing suicide is a much more shocking thing because they have a whole life ahead of them, but anybody committing suicide is a very very sad thing. So now it is all a question of how you allow things to get to you. See, we cannot actually analyze and find out what happened with a particular person, and I am not a psychiatrist or a psychologist to be authoritatively answering this question. Whatever I'm saying from my experiences in life. Let me share two events with you. Now, I was in 1981. It may sound as if ancient times. In 1981, I was in Bitspilani and I was also appointed or elected the president of the Students' Union there. So, as a union president, I had a lot of responsibilities, and there were two unfortunate incidents that took place. One of them was a suicide by a girl, and another was a suicide by a boy. And while I was in first year, there was a suicide by a boy. So every year there would be one or two suicides. When we were in first year, there was a suicide by a boy who jumped into a well in the desert. And in the desert, you have wells that are dry wells. And this guy had not been performing well in his studies, and he had gone and jumped into the well, and his body was taken out. And that was such a sad incident. Then, when I was the president, then one of our seniors, 1 year senior to us, he jumped into a canal. There was a small canal there, decorative canal, Shiv Ganga it was called. So he jumped into the Shiv Ganga and he committed suicide. And he was a very good swimmer. So when his body was brought out, his hands were like this on his chest. He did not swim, so he remained inside. So see, look at the resolve that he had, and he committed suicide. So we got to know about the reasons, and we of course could do nothing, and it could have been avoided. I don't want to share those reasons with you. The girl also, the girl had burned herself. So these were two very unfortunate incidents, and I got to know of the reasons because I was the president and I was with the police and the college authorities all the time. But it was very unfortunate, and believe me, both these things could have been avoided if they had confided in someone, spoken to someone, tried to reason out. Because I believe there is nothing so big in the world for which you should take your own life. See, you can give your life like our Jawans do, like our officers do, while fighting for the country. You can die for the country. All right, you can die fighting for the country. That's a valiant thing to do. But you will never take your own life. So we have to learn to deal with these pressures. And you must always find someone to talk to whenever you have negative emotions. And parents and friends and teachers and everybody should learn to take this seriously, and if needed, take the person to a psychiatrist or a psychologist and get them examined, get them on medication if required, instead of brushing it under the carpet, instead of thinking of it as a stigma, like physical disability, a momentary disability of the mind, or some such problem in the mind is completely acceptable. All right, does it answer the question?
Yes, sir.
All
It
right,
does.
good.
I think Jatin Shivdasani has to speak something.
Sure,
Jatin.
Jatin.
Yeah, hi, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Jatin.
So people tend to stick to their past nowadays. Like they can't let go of their past. Like they must have gone through something in their past, and they just can't seem to let go of it. And because of that, they spoil their present and their future.
Correct.
And I've seen a lot of cases around me.
Hmm.
So, do you have any advices or tips regarding that so that one doesn't go through that?
See, if you keep looking at the rear view mirror, would you be able to drive?
That's a great analogy, sir.
I have to look sideways into my. Yes, I look sideways into those mirrors and see when I want to change lanes. I look into the rear view mirror to find out who's following me or if I want to reverse. But for reversing, also these days, my reversing cameras will give it to me on the screen. I need to look ahead. My focus has to be on my windscreen. My life is my life. Nothing is so precious that you remain connected to it or you remain thinking about it. You've got to learn to let go. My dear friends, you let go of your mother's womb when you wanted to breathe and live in this world. And we will all let go and go to the other world when we have to transit. So while living also, don't get attached to anything in such a way that you look into the rear view mirror and drive and meet with an accident. You cannot allow, that is why I said the control has to be with self. See, everything that I've written there has meaning in this context only, in no other context. Jatin, does it answer the question? If there's another question,
Yes.
you can ask me. So
No,
we
sir, not
need to
right now, but
let
it does.
go. We need to learn to let go. Nothing is as precious as you. Nothing is as precious as your future. Nothing in the past can dictate your future. Though, again, if something keeps on playing, if there's a trauma involved, if there's something of that kind involved, then you need to go and seek professional help because then it's not in your hands. All right. So always seek professional help. Yes, next question, please.
Uh, yeah.
Yes.
Again, this is anonymous.
Okay.
So sometimes people just have a feeling to quit everything and escape from the current position in which they are. So, sir, what are your views and what do you think could help them when they have this feeling?
You want to escape.
Yeah, by quitting everything,
Huh.
as in the work or any professional or anything.
Become a sannyasi.
Yeah, you can say that, or just
Become
quit everything.
become the monk who sold his Ferrari.
Yes, sir, somewhat.
Somewhat. Okay, see, follow your heart. There are lots of very young people who are leaving lucrative jobs and getting into animal care, who are getting into farming, who are getting into teaching, who are getting into a lot of other things. But keep your economics in mind. All right, so lots of people who burnt themselves out by 34 or 35 years of age, who have earned good amounts of money in the bank, then they can quit. So, whether you quit or not, it is a decision which would impact multiple people and multiple facets of your life. Just quitting madly will not help. So, when it's time to quit, do an analysis. And if quitting is on your mind, then work towards it. Build your corpus, build your contacts, build everything else, and then you can quit in a planned way. But don't be foolish, because then you'll have to go back to something later on. And what help would that be? Would that be good? So be a winner, not a quitter. And if you want to quit this and go and do something else, be a winner there also.
Yes, sir.